All right, the question just got asked, Tiffany just asked this, should we go open up the Starter7 file? You can do that. What I'd recommend, if you look up on the screen here, is this is the one I just finished, right? So I'm going to right mouse click, choose copy, right mouse click again, and choose paste. And then as I've shown you before, I'm just going to change the name of the outer file here, or the outer folder. I'm going to change that to 7. Then I know that everything that I did previously works, correct? And I don't have to worry about jacking with their copy. If you think, no, I want to use their starter file, then go ahead and do that. That's not a problem. But if you look up on the screen, that just means that my 7, when I open it up, my inner folder still says 6. Remember, that's okay. All right, so I'm going to open that up. The good news, if you'd call it that, for this project, for Chapter 7, there's no C# code to write. Everything we do is validation. I will tell you, all right, this is my recommendation to you, is when we do this stuff, don't go ahead, because we have to do one thing in here we have to do a little differently than we've done it in the past. All right. So I've just opened up my beginning for Chapter 7. You can call it the starter, call it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. And again, I'm not going to have to open up the other file, so I'm just going to leave that closed. All right. So we want to be able to go and add validation. And if you look up on the screen here, you all know what validation is. I know that, but we want to come in and we want to do this. Now, the way they do it, if you'd all listen to this, we're going to add required fields here, 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 and here. Everybody got that? But we're not going to put any error messages in there. Instead, we're going to put a red asterisk. Okay? Why? Because we're going, and I covered it up. We're going to have a field validator right there. All right, a validation, I should say a validation summary we're going to have at the top. All right, but we are going to put regular validations here, a message here, a message here, a message here. Why did the author do that? I would think to show you how you can mix and match when you're doing it, but I don't know, not being the author. All right. So we're going to follow the steps in order, but especially right near the beginning, there's a couple things that are a little quirky. All right, and I didn't do that. I just went and said, oh, I can do this. Then I went and read, oh, make sure you do this. Well, I didn't do it, and mine screwed up. So I basically had to remove everything and put it back in again. All right, so taking the steps in order, open the file, we did that. It says add a validation summary control. You all know at least what that is, but we want to go in between the H1 tag and the H3 tag. So right here, I'm going to open up a little space, and I'm going to put it right there. All right, so I'm going to go and drag in a validation summary. By default, when you bring in a validation summary, all right, all it has is the ID, which will change the name of this. What is it? It's Royal Inn and Suites, so this is a long name, but I called mine validation summary Royal Inn and Suites. You can call it whatever you'd like. All right, but that's what I called it. And I wanted to add two things. The first is I wanted to add header text, and that was going to say asterisk means required field. And that CSS class equals text-danger. Okay, so we added a validation summary. They told you to put them between the H1 tag and the H3 tag. All right, that's why it's positioned where it is. So that is step 2 that's on the bottom of this page right here. So we've done step 1 and we've done step 2 out of the 15 steps that we have to do. right. Step 3 says we want to add required field validators to the right of the arrival date, the departure date, the first name, the last name, the email address, and the telephone number. If I counted right, that's 6 fields. Okay, again, if you look up on the screen here, what they're saying is we want required field validators here, 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 and here. Does that make sense? And when you think about it, those are the 6 fields into which we are inputting data. So to add required field validators there, at least to me, makes sense. All right? So if you look up on the screen here, and we start looking at the stuff that's in here, what you don't have by doing what we did, I guess it might have been better to use what the author had, but I think we're going to have to add an extra line of code here, but let me double check. All right, we want to start here with the arrival date, okay? But I don't want to just go in right there. I don't want to just go in and put in a required field validator. So far, if you look up, everybody look up on the screen, 3 and 4, 7, right? 3 plus 4 is 7. What do we have left? 5. So we have to put in a div that's going to account for those other 5. That was in the starter for Chapter 7 that you asked about. So we're going to have to manually put that in. All right? No biggie. So underneath that first div that we have for the text box, we're going to add another div. Try it again. Div. Class equals col SM5. All right, make sure you put it right underneath the div for the text box. Oh, and I'm in departure date. I wanted to put it in arrival date, but it's okay. I've got to put them both in there anyway. So let me go underneath arrival date. There's arrival date, so I want to put it right down here. Okay. Now that I've got that in there, now I can come over and I can go to my validators and I can find my required field validator, drag that in, and now I have that. There's a lot of stuff, as you know, that we have to set for this. So I'm tabbing. Well, this is for our arrival date, right? So I call mine required field arrival date. The error message should just be an asterisk. We're not done yet, though, but I just wanted to show you that to start. Let me move this over a little so you can read it there. So we have the ID, we have the run at equal server, we have the error message. Well, you know the other kinds of stuff we want to put in here. We need the control to validate. And that is going to be txt arrival date. We need the display, which we want to be set equal to dynamic. And we want the CSS class, which they set to text danger. Not danger. Danger. Oops, I don't know what I just did. Sorry, I just somehow moved right to the bottom of the page. There it is. I believe that's everything for this. Again, somehow I've lost my div. Boy, oh boy. And that should be equal 5. And I need my ending div at the bottom. Yeah, there it is. It's done. Good gosh. over a little bit. That should be everything, unless I screwed something up. I don't think I did. So again, that was in my arrival date, and it was right after the text box. Well, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to go and highlight all of that, copy it to the clipboard, and I'm going to drop another one in right underneath my text box for the departure date. All right, right there. Because now all I have to do is change the name, the ID, to required field departure date. And I control the validate to txt departure date. All right, and now that second one is done. So there's that one. Highlight all that in tab. This would probably be a good time to save, run it. Because if I made spelling errors or whatever, hopefully the system finds it when I run it, and it gives me some kind of an error. It just gets me, and I don't know how to stop people from doing it. And if I'm saying this, if you think I'm criticizing you, I'm criticizing everybody. As I've watched many of you key in almost your whole program and then you start testing it. You should never do that. You should always key in a little, test it. Remember this? Now you're right, Ethan, with what you talked about. You look up on the screen. Now what do we have to do? Well, you all know what we have to do. So we can stop the run. You can do it different ways. I'm going to just do it using the NuGet Package Manager. So I'm going to right mouse click on here. Please don't get ahead of me and do it though. Okay? If you've already done it, you're going to have to remove what you did. Now we put in ASP, we put in this, correct? Right there. For this one, because of the way that he wrote this, you have to choose the second one. Because this has got some code in it that is going to break our form. You have to choose this one, the old one. All right? He explains it in the exercises. But I didn't read that, and I went in and put in the first one, which worked fine until I ran it, and then it broke. So we're going to choose the second one here and choose install. This is what this is going to do. Basically, you don't have to when you bring it in through NuGet. Yeah. It might here. I just suggest doing it this way. All right, so now I'm going to save again, and I'm going to run it again and see if those two required field validators work. Says it requires a script. This is that was supposed to have fixed it with the one that we used. Well, that isn't good. When I did it this morning, and I came in and I did the manage NuGet packages, etc., and I typed in browse, and I typed in ASP, as we have been doing, and I chose script manager. All right, when I did this, I chose that one, which isn't the right one. Okay? Well, when I went back and redid it and chose that one, it worked. So I have no idea. You shouldn't have to click update. You shouldn't have to do anything. That's already there. So why are we getting an error? what I want you to do is, if you look up here, this is a kind of an important thing. I'm clicking in the scripts folder. Because of the one we chose, we're getting older versions of jQuery. All right? And I'm not sure, like I said, I'm trying to figure out why did it work fine this morning when I redid it. I'm going to try doing what I did this morning and see if it works.
I think I know why.
Why is that?
So we're pulling in 1.9 jQuery in
Yes.
the top, and in here it's 1.2.
Yeah, I think what happened was this morning, that might be why. This morning what I did was I literally took this whole folder and deleted it. Okay? It's gone. Then I went back in here, grabbed the old one again. All right, actually I had to close the package manager. All right. In fact, let's just go click uninstall. It should actually already be uninstalled, but that's fine. And then I brought it back up again. Like I said, it worked just fine this morning not having to do this. Clicked install. Now I have nothing in there for scripts. That isn't good. Someday we're going to have a class period and it's like everything's just going to go right. Probably you'll have a sub that day. All right. So I'm going to click uninstall on this. Close this and try it again. Put nothing into scripts. I don't think this is going to fix it, so we're going to try it anyway. Yep. Well, then Brady, you asked the question, so I'm going to see if I can get it to work this way, but I think this isn't going to work either.
Because he deleted the scripts file, does that...
Because I created the folder. I think that's what it was. I should have removed everything inside of it, but left the folder.
Yeah, because in the original scripts folder, you also had your bootstrap.js files.
You're right. So you know what I'll do? I'll come in here, and I'm going to delete this. All right. And I've never tried this before, but there's nothing stopping me anyway. So I'm going to right mouse click on here, choose Add, Existing Item, and I'm going to go and I'm going to find from the one that we did previously, which is this one. It's the starters, is it? Yeah, I think that's right. And I'm gonna grab my whole scripts folder and see if it'll let me grab that and add it. There's the stuff, but it didn't put it in the scripts folder. Doggone it. Okay, well, I screwed up royally, so what I'm gonna try to do you have to do this? No. In fact, if I can't get this to work, I won't even require that you turn in the Chapter 7. But if you look up on the screen, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to the actual starter file that they had for Chapter 7, and I'm gonna use that one. All right? There may be something in there that I didn't have. I don't know. And of course, I brought up the wrong file. Let me close this. I'm gonna close everything. Okay. All right, this is it. So this is the Chapter 7 starter file. And I think I gave you both those yesterday, is that correct? I gave you this Chapter 6 and Chapter 7? Okay, so I'm gonna try that one. And I'm gonna go through the same steps that we just went through. I'm gonna go do them nice and slow because we still have an hour and 11 minutes. not even gonna run it, I'm just gonna go right in. In here, I'm gonna add the validation control, you've already seen this. The validation summary, I should say, that's gonna go right there. Let's call it Royal. Got that. Header text. That stuff's done.
What's your error message?
Pardon me? Got an error message?
Yeah, for your error message, you didn't fill it out
You're right. I did, but then I highlighted it. We don't even want an error message in here. We're just going to use header text. I can just leave it to nothing. That's fine too. All right. Okay. Now, with just the validation summary in here, I'm going to run this, and I expect it to fail. So all I've done is I went back to the Chapter 7 starter and just put in the validation summary, and now I'm running it. And it should fail for that same unobtrusive validation error that we saw before. Of course it would run. Yeah. That's really strange. You know what? This is what we're going to do. I'm going to go to my one I did this morning. You won't have this problem when you take the test, because whatever he said as far as that error that he had, all right, it's because he put in something old. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure that everything that I do for your next test, I run it first, and it all works. All right, and what I try to do is to document every step as I'm going through to make sure that everything works. So if I click, you see all this? See that? Asterisk means required field, and we should have our messages here, and we're not, but for email, I'm going to put in something invalid, and for telephone number, see that? That's what should be happening, okay? And of course, it's not, and that's okay. But what I'm gonna do is, I'm just going to give everyone my copy. And guess what? You will each get a free 10 points. All right? I would suggest that tomorrow, when you come in here, hopefully you'll all be coming in here, but we'll see. I would suggest that when you come in here, that you really look at Chapter 8. All right, because Chapter 8 talks about session state, and it talks about how to use cookies for validation. I don't want to go into it right now, all right? But I'd rather go into it on Monday, where we can spend about 2 hours going over the lecture, hour and a half to 2 hours, and then there are actually 2 exercises for Chapter 8, okay? And we'll do those then afterward. If we get all that stuff done, either Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, one of those 2 days, and I'd rather have it be Tuesday, we'll have our next hands-on test for chapters 6, 7, and 8. All right, that would give us Wednesday or Thursday and Friday to finish up Chapter 9, which is, to me, one of the hardest chapters in the book.
Will you be testing over 9
You will have,
on its own, or?
no, 9, 10, and 11. Because 10 is just more bootstrap, and 11 is being able to make pretty URLs. So in other words, instead of having all that query information in the query string, there's a way to not show that stuff. So it's going to look a little nicer. So there'll be 2 more tests, 6, 7, and 8, and then 9, 10, 11. Then I want to see, hopefully she gets back to me by then. I even asked Charles, what do you think? He said, well, you said you'd give her a week, and now it's been a week, so I'll probably try calling her, maybe even on the road today. I don't know. And if she's gone, I'll just leave a message with her.
Does it make sense she was so adamant about it?
That's what I thought. I mean, she seemed much more enthused about it than we did. So
Do you think that she maybe was disappointed with us not having more answers?
I really have no idea. I don't know. I can't think of anything that happened during that meeting where she would have said, "Oh my God, I don't want to work with these people." I don't think there was anything. I mean, a couple of you were nervous, but that was to be expected anyway. So can everybody see this up on the screen? There is a folder that's going to be on the flash drive that I'll pass around that's called XSOL07. See that one? The other stuff, it's not personal stuff, but it's other, like this. There is some personal stuff in here. What's that?
What's the SOL stand for?
No, what it is, they have a thing at Rankin. They like everybody to contribute to the United Way. They had it when I was at Blackhawk too, but at Rankin, they don't force you. But what they say is if you agree to contribute $125 or more, they give you a paid day off. Okay, that's kind of their incentive. So what's in here, if I scan the right page, oh crud, I thought it didn't put it in there. So I don't know where it is. I tried to scan a thing today where there's a form we have to fill out. I tried to scan the form, but it's not in there. I don't know what's in there. Images. Oh, this is the Magic 8 Ball program. That's the Magic 8 Ball program. Those are some, that's the ta-da. So that's all that's in there. It's all Magic 8-Ball stuff, and then this.
Figured it out.
What was it?
So, the second one, for whatever reason, no matter what you did, it didn't run. I don't know, it was like too low of a version or something.
Yeah.
But if
You
go
copy
to
in a
the-
newer version?
if you go to the newer version, and then you just go to the version you want, and then you just put, like the most recent one that they have on here. So they put 2.2.4, and you install that one, and then then you just go up to your header tag and change it to 2.2.4,
That's just.
and then it will work. For whatever reason.
Well, he got his to work too. But if you want it, there it is.